A couple people have asked me how I do my mixed media pieces, and typically I would do the collage first on paper, little cutouts, and then I'd scan it, and the main piece is a digital drawing that I do on top. And how I get all these supplies, girl, people literally just give me a bunch of junk, but I love having parts of other people's lives in my sketchbook. So when I visited my sister in New York, I grabbed a bunch of maps. And we also visited a zine store, and I've never been to one before, so I picked up this one. And this one's one of my favorites because it reminds me of The Last of Us. I love the textures on this and the little handwritten titles on it. I also have this basket that honestly it terrifies me a little because of how much random stuff I have in this. My friend, I've told her that I've been collecting coffee sleeves, and I put them up on my wall. So I have these ones. Alright, a little bit of life updates. I'm in my second semester of university now. I transferred from community. Why can't I put this in? This is literally meant for children. Okay. Hello. Okay. There's been so many projects where I thought I was doing something right, and then I would see the feedback on Canvas, and then it was like, please read the instructions again. And the weird thing is that the projects that I quote unquote didn't do right are the ones that I liked better, where I would take the concept or the process that I did and make personal art out of it. And this semester, luckily I have this really cool professor that actually encourages that, where it's not necessarily you're given a set of directions and you kind of just take materials and experiment with it. The Last of Us posters that I made originated from a project for class, and it was mostly the ink textures from back here, as well as lino cut paint that I used and just rolled it on a piece of paper. But I turned it into this, so I'll show you how I did that. I used the Canson XL mixed media paper for literally all the stuff that I do. I use a black India ink and a crusty fan brush. I also have a painting well with different amounts of water, so you can put your ink in here and then dilute it with different amounts. So I airdropped it from my MacBook onto my iPad, and now we're on Procreate and we have the inked piece right here. Typically I desaturate it, but it depends. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I kind of like the warm tone of it. But if you want it to be cooler, I usually desaturate it, but I'll keep it as is. And then I'd go to adjustments and then do the curves. I usually only typically play around with the gamma, and I take it from here just to make it darker. and this adds a nice contrast. And this will show up a lot better once you start layering it. There's really no template for this. Whatever looks good to you is the right way to do it. So I have my background set to white, and this will affect the blending modes that I set it on. And for this piece, I only did 3 layers, but my other ones, it can go up to 10 depending how many textures I want to add. So my first one doesn't show up because I have it as a soft light. The second one still doesn't show up because it's still under soft light. And then the third one shows up because I have it set on difference. The other ones that I've tried are subtract, divide, and color dodge. So I'd really just play around with everything and see what looks good to you. But once you have that down, I usually like to turn off that layer and then do my sketch on top. So I have one of Joel Miller right here from The Last of Us. And then after you have all that done, you can add in your background. Another thing I like to play around with is under adjustments, and then you go to gradient map and you can try out the different color combinations down here. This was another piece that I used the lino cut or the block printing materials. So I have the red paint. I don't have black. I used this one for a project, so I didn't want to get another one, so I just used it. And then of course the roller. And I do this after doing a project and just roll it on, so it was just leftover paint. The process for this was exactly the way that I showed you, where I scanned it, put it up here, and then I did the curves and just played around with the coloring. This is definitely one of my favorite ways of drawing because I feel like when I'm always stuck in my chair doing a digital drawing, it gets really exhausting. So having a tactile experience of cutting, gluing, painting, etc., I feel more connected to what I'm doing. It's 7:30. I accidentally turned on an alarm at this time. I'm probably just gonna run some errands and do a couple assignments because I'm booked and busy this weekend in a good way. I count hang out with friends as a not day off for me. I just love being at home.